Okay, you can see that I've done this already. I'm going to close my mass properties. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the beginning and do it again. And this is for, of course, you guys who are using Onshape. This is the exercise here working with assemblies. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a subassembly structure. Then we're going to mate parts together using the fastened or the revolute mates. And then we're going to have different instances of the components. So let's start with step one. So this is important. When you go here, you got to go to public, and you've got to type this in correctly. Exercise universal. Actually, you got to put the proper space in there, or it will not find it. So exercise, and it says universal exercise universal joint assembly, exercise universal joint assembly, and you can see there's a lot of these. The one you're always looking for is the one that has been downloaded a jillion times. Let me hit search here. Oh, didn't have the right space there. Let's do it again. Automatically goes back anyhow. I guess I better just retype this again. EXERCISE colon and so what we're looking for is the one that has been downloaded like 2000. There it is. I guess we had to wait a little bit longer for it to find them all, but the one, you always want the one that's been downloaded lots of times, because that is the one that is the actual exercise. These are other people. This says Onshape training. These, of course, all say different people. So don't open up any of these. So you're going to open this up as it says, and then it says click on make a copy. So we're going to click on make a copy, and I'm going to call mine copy 2 because I've done it already once. And so we've got this part. So we'll go on to the next slide. And it says to create an assembly tab, click on the plus sign and select that symbol, create an assembly, rename the assembly universal joint assembly, and press enter. So it tells you right here, circle in red. So you're going to click on this plus, and then we're going to click on create an assembly, and you can see it makes this assembly 1 tab. And now we're going to right click on it and go to rename, and we're going to rename this universal joint assembly. So hit enter. So that is now done. You can notice that it is now blank. So the next slide. So it says now we're supposed to insert this part. So navigate to the new assembly tab. We are on the new assembly tab. Insert universal joint flange. Select the check mark on the insert dialog box. Note, since this is a single part, you may click on the part studio to insert the one part. So what that means, folks, is when you go insert here, by clicking on the part studio, that will, if you do that normally and there's multiple parts, it will insert all the parts. In this case, there's only one part, so you can click on this or this. It does the exact same thing. So we'll just click there, and we'll click the green check. So now our part is inserted. So we'll go to the next slide. Slide number 4 is we are supposed to fix this in location. Remember, for assemblies, they have to be fixed. So we're going to come up here to where it says universal joint flange, right click, and click on fix. And you can see you get this little mark here that shows it's fixed. Now it can no longer be moved. And that's what we want to do. Slide number 5. Now we're going to insert the other parts. And notice there are 3 parts. So I could go insert. I could expand this and then insert these parts one at a time. But if I click up here on the studio, it will insert all the parts at one time. And these parts are not actually in place where they're supposed to be. See how I can move them? So they have no mates, so they can be moved. Now this right here, we fixed it, so we cannot move it. So we've got this stuff done. Let's go to slide number 6. Okay, so now we're going to mate the universal joint center block. Oh, these guys must be Brits. See, they use the British spelling. But we're going to mate this center block. Make sure to use the explicit connectors already established in each part. Add limits so the part can only rotate 90 degrees in each direction, and then accept the mate. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this right here, which is the Revolute. It's the one they told me to choose. And then I'm going to choose this right here. And then inside this block, you can see there's one in there as well. I'm going to select that one right there. And you can see that it goes in there. Now, we don't have the limits that we're supposed to have yet, so we're not ready yet. We're going to go and click on limits here. And we're going to click on -90, or we'll type in -90, -90. And then we'll type in 90 here. And the cool thing is I can click solve, then I can hit this, and I can see, look at there, it's going to go 90 degrees that way. Oh, it should not end up like that. It should end up at the top. So actually maybe not. I think it should end up there. Let's try that again, because I do know that later on they are going to go. Okay, so we're good here. It is supposed to be solid at the top, and it is. So we're good to go. I'll click the check, and we are good. This extra one isn't needed. We've got a Revolute there. It is movable. I can always right click on that and go to reset, and it'll move it exactly where it's supposed to be. All right, so we're going to go to the next slide now. So, mate the universal joint axle to the bushing with a fastened mate. Be sure to select the mate connector centered in the hole of the bushing and the mate connector aligned with the planar face of the axle as shown. And so what that means, folks, is that when I choose this fasten mate, I want to go in here and I want to choose, tell you what, there we go. I want to get here. I want to choose this one right here where, notice that you get different center points. I want to make sure that I choose the one that's right there. So I got that one chosen. And then I want to choose the one that is the face. So that's right there. And you can see that that made it properly. And I'm going to click OK. And now you can see that that is actually stuck on there. Well, no, I can move that, but I can't move the little light blue one off anymore. And so we've accepted the mate. I am going to go ahead and get this back in isometric mode. And now we'll go to the next slide. Slide 8. So, mate the bushing to the center block with another fastened mate. Be sure to select the mate connectors aligned to the planar face of the bushing and the planar face of the block as shown. So the important thing here is that we're going to mate to the face of the block here, and then we're going to also mate that part right there where my arrow is. That's the part we want to mate. So if I go here to select, I want to make sure that I'm selecting the part here that has, okay, right there. So that's the face we want to mate. So we're going to select that face. And it says here it's easier to mate if we hide the flange. So we can go up here to the flange, right click and hide it. That makes it disappear. That got rid of my first selection, so I have to do that again. Fasten mate. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to select. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to undo that because I did not want to, I just wanted to make that one thing disappear, and I actually made two things disappear. So I'm going to go right here and turn that back on. And I'm going to leave that turned off. See how there's a slash across the eyeball? And so now I want to do it again. I want to choose this one right here. And you got to be careful that you, no, I'm just going to choose there. Okay, so we got that. And then we want to come across here. And I also want to make sure that I'm selecting just the one that's on the face here. So we got that. And now you can see that this is right there where it's supposed to be. And if I want to now, I can actually turn this back on, and you can see it's stuck right in where it's supposed to be. So I'll go back to isometric. Kind of keeps it back in view. And so we got all that done. We've accepted the mate. We don't need another one, so we'll close that. And so we're good. Turn that back on. So we got that done. Go to the next slide. Slide 9. And it says, let's restructure the assembly and move the axle and bushing to a subassembly. So I want to select the two instances on the instance list, right click and choose move to subassembly. And so you're going to see there'll be a new tab. We got one right now called Universal Joint Assembly. We got one that's called Universal Joint Components. But I'm going to go up here and I'm going to select the one that says Graphite Phosphor Bronze and Universal Joint Axle. So I'm going to click on that one and click on that one. And I'm going to right click and go down here as it says to move to subassembly. So we want to find move to new subassembly right there. And you can see this tab right here got created. And you can see it moved just that to there. We're going, and then it says we want to rename this. Okay, it's going to tell us next slide. Rename it Universal Joint Axle Subassembly. So we're going to rename Universal Joint AXEL Joint Axle Subassembly. Universal Joint Axle Subassembly. So we got that done. Now it says what we want to do is we want to notice that both selected instances in the mate and mate between them to move the new assembly tab. So we've got that. Using the triad manipulator, reposition and reorient the axle as shown. So we're going to go to, obviously this is kind of turned over like this. But what we're going to do is we're going to just select that. And we've got this right here that kind of comes up in the middle. If I go to the center, you may remember this from a different lesson, and kind of drag this out, and I can lock that to the center. So I've done that. And then it says to right click on this and choose anti-align with Z. You've got that done. And then I want to take this right here and right click and move to origin. So that is now done. If I go isometric, it looks like this, and so we've got that all done. Hopefully you guys rewind and look at that. That's a good thing about a video. If you didn't catch how I did that, just watch carefully. I got to where I could see it. I drug that until it centered itself. I right clicked on that and chose anti-align with Z, and then I got to the center here again, right clicked and went to move to origin, and so that set that all up. So we're good. We'll go to the next slide, and it says now fix the axle in place. So here's the axle. I'm going to go right click and go to fix. So that is now fixed in place. So we're good to go there. Now we'll go to the next slide, number 12, and it says, we want to navigate back to the main assembly. So here we are back to the main assembly. Select the replicate feature to instance the new assembly. Select the subassembly as the instance to replicate and choose match edges on face with the pull down. So there's our subassembly right there. So I'm going to find this mate, and I think this is it right there, replicate. So I click that, and it says to choose the axle subassembly as the instance. So there it is. I've chosen that. Now I'm going to choose on faces to find or to match. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to click on that face, and that face. And so it replicated it, and it matched the faces. And so we've done that. Do that, and again, we'll get it back to isometric. And so now we're looking good so far. We're going to go to the next slide, 13 of 17. And it says, copy and paste the universal joint flange to create a second instance. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit to make room for this. And let's see, there's the universal joint flange. So I'm going to right click, and I'm going to copy. I'm going to right click, I'm going to go to paste. There we go. So I pasted it in there. Right click and select paste. So we've done that. So now we'll go to the next slide. So now mate the second instance of the universal joint to the center block, centering it with a revolute mate so it can rotate. Use the explicit mate connectors already established in each part. Add limits so that the blocks can only rotate 90 degrees in each direction. So what it's talking about is that I know that I want to go on to these two, because these two already have one. So what I'm going to do, it doesn't say to do this, but to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to select this part right here, right click and hide it. And now up in there I can see what I need to see. That's what I need to see, that little part right there, and this little part right here. So I'm going to go to Revolute again, and I'm going to choose that one there, and then I'm going to look in there and make sure I get the right one. Choose that one there, and it is done. Now we are supposed to create limits, so I'm going to go limits, minus 90 and 90. I want to solve it and then try it again. That's not exactly what we want, so I'm going to try clicking that and then play it again. That's not quite it either, so I'm going to click this one more time. Now I'll go play it. There it is, 90 degrees that way, 90 degrees that way. That's what we want. The curriculum didn't tell you that, but that right there will make it so you can align it so it does it the way it's supposed to. So I'm going to click OK. We are good, 90 degrees. This part that I hid, I got to find it. I don't know where it is now. What I'm looking for is one of them that has a eyeball that's slashed out. There it is. So I can click on that, and I just turned that other part that I had turned off back on. So now I can go back to isometric, and so we're good here. And then it says to try this to see if you can move it back and forth, and I can move all this stuff back and forth, so we're good. The universal joint center block has two explicit mate connectors. One has been hidden, and that we found it. So now move the top flange of the joint assembly by clicking and dragging. And that's what I just did. I just clicked and dragged. We see it moves properly. Everything works. And then it says to reset. So now I'm going to go to every single one of these, because this is important to get the right answer. So here's all my mates. And I'm going to go to reset on each one. Okay, now everything is totally reset where it's supposed to be. And so now we're going to go to 17. And this is where we check our mass properties. And so it says to click on the universal joint flange. Actually, they just want to choose the top one. So that's the bottom one. That's not, there it is, universal joint flange. So, and it does say select the second instance of the universal joint flange. I should have read that, but that's the one I want to check, just that one. And when I do that, I can go to mass properties. And so here's where I have everything. There is all my center of mass stuff. And so we're going to go to up here, begin self-check. And I've done this twice and mine came out differently. I got the same answer both times, so I did it right. And so I didn't find the exact one that was right, but I did find that Y was 0. And so I said, okay, this one right here and this one right here is the only one that Y was 0. Then this is 3.06 and it's not negative. And so this is the only one that 2 out of 3 were right. And this one was off by just a little bit. And so I went ahead and I selected this one, see results, and it's correct. And so I can't explain why it's a little bit different here. They must have changed something in the program, but this is correct. Everything is set up right. So that is how you do it. And so basically this is what you'll do. You'll do a screenshot with your mass properties and so forth showing, and then you'll turn it in. So I hope this helps you guys out. I did intentionally wait to post this because I want you guys to try it yourself. I have had at least 6 or 7 of you guys who have done it successfully without having to see the video, but I did have somebody email me today and say, hey, Mr. Evans, you're going to post a video? And of course I am. So I again hope this helps, and this is your last assignment. You have until, technically you only had until tomorrow to finish this, but since Friday's the last day for all the work, you actually have till Friday. So I will not be giving you any more assignments at all. But make sure you get everything turned in. I will accept work after Friday, but I can only accept it for as long as they let me. So make sure you get your stuff turned in, or get your stuff turned in. All right, y'all take care.